streaming live across the country, tackling the topics everyone is talking about online. Share, engage, and interact. This is Newsfeed Now.
Good Wednesday morning. Congratulations. You have made it to Hump Day. We're halfway through the work week. Welcome to Newsfeed Now. I'm your host, Hillary Hunt. Over the next 25 minutes, we're going to be talking about the latest on Capitol Hill, a big push for more COVID-19 vaccines, a 16-year-old pilot that's lending a helping hand, and a teacher that's gone viral on TikTok. Trust me, that's a story you're going to want to see. We have a lot going on today, but of course, we're going to start on Capitol Hill. The impeachment trial of former President Donald Trump is moving forward, but there may not be enough votes for a conviction. Here's what we know. All 100 senators signed an oath for the trial set to start the week of February 8th. President Joe Biden is endorsing the impeachment trial, saying, quote, it has to happen. Even though he doesn't believe Democrats will get the 17 Republican votes needed for that conviction, 5 Republicans say an impeachment trial is constitutional, while 45 Republicans argue that it's not. And contractors will have to stop construction on the border wall today. This comes after President Joe Biden issued an executive order just last week. The border wall project was worth about $1.3 billion and will be evaluated during a 60-day pause. That's what they're calling it. Now the Biden administration will develop plans to redirect those funds. In the meantime, a plan does have to be in place by April 22nd, something we'll continue to monitor for you. And President Joe Biden announced an update to his COVID-19 plan, which includes the purchase of 200 million more vaccines. Our Washington correspondent Basil John has more on that for us.
This will be one of the most difficult operational challenges we've ever undertaken as a nation.
President Joe Biden announced his administration's latest effort to ramp up COVID vaccine allocation and distribution throughout the country.
I directed my COVID team to go to work immediately on how we could step up the vaccination effort.
The president has a goal to reach 100 million vaccinations in 100 days, and he says another 200 million is on the way.
This is an aggregate plan that doesn't leave anything on the table or anything to chance, as we've seen happen in the past year.
The doses will come from both Pfizer and Moderna and will increase the overall vaccine supply from 400 million to 600 million. The president also says they will increase the weekly vaccine supply to states, tribes, and territories.
From 8.6 million doses to a minimum of 10 million doses.
And as Vice President Kamala Harris received her second dose of the COVID vaccine, she wants Americans to trust the process.
Take the vaccine when it is your turn. It is really pretty painless, and it will save your life.
However, the Biden administration admits there are hurdles they must deal with, such as vaccine hesitancy, to achieve their goal, to bring a sense of normalcy back to the country.
This is going to be hard, and we are not trying to sugarcoat that. It is going to take a multifaceted approach, and we are open-eyed about the challenge.
Most of that story about the supply of the COVID-19 vaccine, and it's not keeping up with the demand in states all across the country. Despite low supply of the vaccine, local officials across the country are promising those shipments will arrive and they'll be distributed when they're ready at mass vaccination sites. Tom Nagovan has more on those efforts.
New Jersey's governor paying a morning visit to a vaccination center where the people getting the shot know how lucky they are.
I just hope that they can get more vaccines out for everybody.
The Garden State just launched a new vaccination hotline that was overwhelmed on day one.
We are currently experiencing higher than expected call volumes.
17,000 calls in hour number one. How many by noon? 58,000, you say?
Next door, New York reporting a drop in COVID cases and hospitalizations, but
you're still going to have the fundamental issue of an international shortage of vaccine.
And that's the case tonight, not just across the country, but around the world. The European Union demanding vaccine providers do more.
Let me just emphasize the word that is important here is transparency.
As governors and local health officials go straight to the federal government.
And I'm advocating directly to the new president of the United States, Joe Biden, to send more vaccine doses to Los Angeles County.
Came away from the conversation very confident about the direction they're taking.
We want a lot more.
because of the federal supply limitations, I want to emphasize that vaccinations are being given by appointment only.
A crisis that has everyday Americans thinking outside the box.
So don't you give up.
The live music industry, sidelined completely by COVID-19, offering to go back to work, staffing vaccination mega sites.
And the play isn't just the venues. The important part beyond the venues is the people, because what do we do for a living? We handle crowds. We get people in and out quickly and safely.
That pitch has already been made directly to Congress. This spot should be a vaccine megasite. It can't be, not yet, because there simply isn't enough vaccine. President Biden repeated today his administration is working hard to change that.
Thank you. That was Tom Nagovin reporting. Let's talk about a group that doesn't have a vaccine for it. Animals. We're told a house cat in Arkansas tested positive for COVID-19. The health department didn't say how the cat got infected, but tells us luckily it has recovered. Veterinarians say people who have COVID-19 should really limit their contact with their pet. It's not known if animals can develop antibodies just yet. And I love this story we have. In the East, a young pilot from Virginia flew about an hour and a half on Sunday afternoon to Bridgeport, West Virginia, to deliver personal protective equipment for Preston Memorial Hospital. Laramie Sanyan was there and has that story.
On Sunday afternoon, 16-year-old TJ Kim flew from Virginia to the North Central West Virginia airport to donate personal protective equipment, also known as PPE, to the Mon Health Preston Memorial Hospital. Kim, along with his flight instructor, brought 14 boxes containing 5,000 pieces of PPE, including gloves, gowns, and eyewear for the hospital. This isn't the first time he's delivered PPE to small and rural hospitals. In fact, he's been doing so since March of 2020, when COVID-19 restrictions limited pretty much everything he enjoyed doing, except flying.
Flight training was one of the few things I had left to do. And I still wanted to find a way to go out and serve in the community. And there's a lot of small hospitals hurting. And after I made my first delivery, I saw like how much in need people were. And so that's what's kind of motivated me to keep going.
On the ground to meet Kim was the Chief Administrative Officer of Preston Memorial, Melissa Lockwood. She says she's been thrilled ever since she heard he was coming, because PPE is in great demand right now.
We're just now kind of getting the hit from the coronavirus, where in some of the larger areas that was several months back, so it's at the right time for us.
Lockwood says his delivery will be critical and significant in the battle against the coronavirus.
Absolutely essential, just to make sure that we keep those supplies up to continue to be able to treat patients in our community.
This critical demand for PPE is what keeps Kim going, but so too does the appreciation he gets every time he delivers new supplies.
That means everything. Like, the gratitude is really what motivates me to do everything, and just being able to help out in any way that I can.
Lockwood says she is grateful and hopes that Kim continues down his inspiring path.
I just want to thank him, and I wish him all the best in his endeavors. He's going to be a successful person, I can tell. He's very driven.
And of course, we have to bring in the reporter who did this story for us, joining us now from West Virginia. First, I got to know all about this guy. What was it like interviewing him? So young, but saw such a need to help someone else.
It was honestly so inspiring to see someone that young and so driven. I mean, it made me think back to when I was 16, and I can tell you for certain I wasn't doing anything like that.
Yeah, we were just learning how to drive cars then, and he's flying a plane full of PPE to an area, that truly needs it.
Yeah, it truly does. As you heard in the package there, they are hitting COVID, new limits right now, new records right now, because they are a rural county. Only about 30,000 people live there. So when he brings over 5,000 pieces of PPE, that's a significant number for an area so small. And that often goes overlooked because that's just how it goes in rural America.
And, once again, for anyone who missed it, just tell us the why. Why is Kim doing this? I mean, 16 years old and just truly cares about other people, it seems like.
So he told me that the reason he does this is rather than being down like a lot of us are because he couldn't do his favorite things like play lacrosse or continue doing different things on the ground, he took advantage of something he got from his dad for his 15th birthday, which was flying lessons. And, you know, he wants to be a pilot in the Navy eventually, fly fighter jets. But he's actually reached the maximum amount of hours needed, or the minimum amount of hours needed to get his private pilot's license. But he just needs to be 17 now. So how I truly learned that he cared about what he was talking about was he could have just quit once he got his hours flying all this PPE around. But no, when I met him on Sunday, he'd already gotten past his hours. And this is something that truly drives him. He loves to fly, but more importantly, he likes to help communities that are suffering.
We could all learn a lot from him. That's a 16-year-old to watch. Laramie Sen-Young out of West Virginia for us. Laramie, thanks so much for joining us. Well, let's talk about healthcare workers, those ones who, are in need of our help right now because they're helping us. Listen to this. The Kansas City Chiefs, as you know, they're going to play my Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Super Bowl 55. And local healthcare workers are super pumped because they have the possibility to score some Super Bowl tickets. The NFL is giving tickets to 7,500 healthcare workers from across the U.S. just to thank them for their dedication and, of course, their sacrifice during this pandemic. Reagan Porter explains how some healthcare workers hope to be the lucky ones to cheer on their Chiefs at the Super Bowl.
We've reached out to hospitals across the Kansas City metro. So far, the University of Kansas Health System tells us they've got 18 Super Bowl tickets from the league to honor employees. The Chiefs are headed to Super Bowl 55, and healthcare workers are pumped for the possibility to score tickets.
I'm just like the biggest Chiefs fan ever.
Vicki Manath is an ER nurse in Sedalia, Missouri. Her family has an entire room dedicated to Chiefs memorabilia. They want to add something from Tampa to the wall.
How do you do the Chiefs sign? Yeah, good job.
Do you want your mommy to do that in Tampa?
Yeah, you want mommy to go to the Super Bowl, don't you?
Kelsey Davis is cheering her mom to the big game, too.
She is a diehard Chiefs fan.
Tracy Johnson is a traveling ER nurse with St. Luke's Health System. She's held season tickets the last 5 years, but opted out in 2020 due to COVID concerns.
It's just super emotional because she's literally dedicated the last year of her life truly for her community.
The lucky ones picked need to meet certain criteria, including proof they've had both doses of the vaccine. Johnson checks off that box. She knows the hardship this virus brings.
I'm sorry.
This video was taken in March. Her son tested positive for coronavirus.
Okay.
He has underlying health issues and lives with Johnson. They were forced to separate for months, the first time without each other since he was born.
And I know that was really hard for him. I remember him sending texts to her, just begging to come home, just crying and saying, I'm never going to leave you again once I can be with you again.
Davis says this would be the light at the end of a horribly long and COVID-filled tunnel. Advent Health has a hospital in Florida. Several of their staff members in Tampa are going to the game. The Advent Health here is hoping to secure tickets for some of their Kansas City Chiefs fans.
We want to bring in Reagan Porter joining us from Kansas City, Missouri. And Reagan, I love this story. I love that the NFL is doing this, but I'm sure every hospital worker right now is trying to get their hands on these tickets in Kansas City.
Absolutely. I mean, you saw that these two healthcare workers, they're just one of so many that want to make the trip to the Super Bowl to cheer on our Kansas City Chiefs. And rightfully so. They've done so much for our community. All health workers, I mean, they've just done incredible work. And you even heard from her daughter. I mean, she really puts it into perspective how much these workers go through and how much they've actually done for us. And all of them are so deserving.
Yeah, and it's super powerful to hear their stories as well. But if they do get picked, like you said in your story, I just want you to go over it one more time. There are some regulations and some rules in place if you're selected to go to the Super Bowl.
Absolutely. I mean, the main one is that they need to have both doses of the vaccine. And the two people we introduced you to, of course, they have that checked off and they are ready to head to Tampa.
Exciting stuff there, and obviously a very exciting game. But 7,500 healthcare workers are going to be in attendance cheering on either the Tampa Bay Buccaneers or the Kansas City Chiefs. Promise to be a good game and a very good reward for some of those healthcare workers. Reagan, thanks so much for joining us out of Kansas City. Looking forward to Super Bowl Sunday. Now let's talk about some new research that was published in the International Journal of Women's Dermatology. It reveals hours in front of video calls is leading to some people getting cosmetic procedures. Doctors say the images of what we see of ourselves are often distorted and not a true reflection of what we really look like. A team of dermatologists actually coined the phrase Zoom dysmorphia, and as Felicia Bolton discovered, the term itself is stirring up some controversy in the medical world.
During the coronavirus pandemic, the activities of millions are shifting from in-person to online. From work to family celebrations, video chats are becoming the norm. Dermatologist A. Shadi Karosh works at Harvard Medical School and the Massachusetts General Hospital Department of Dermatology. She says all those hours in front of the camera are prompting many people to go under the knife. She's coined the term as Zoom dysmorphia.
People were spending excessive amounts of time video conferencing and confronting their own reflection in a way that wasn't natural.
In a research article published in the International Journal of Women's Dermatology, Dr. Shadi Karosh and her peers surveyed more than 100 board-certified dermatologists across the nation to see if patients are seeking cosmetic procedures in order to improve their appearance on video conferencing calls. The study revealed 50% of doctors surveyed indicated a relative rise in cosmetic procedures despite the pandemic. Even more notable is that 86% of respondents report their patients are referencing video conferencing as a reason for their new cosmetic concerns. She says oftentimes the image we see in a lens is distorted and not a true reflection of ourselves.
We have the tools to alter and improve a person's appearance, but those need to be used wisely and in the correct circumstances.
But the term Zoom dysmorphia itself is stirring some varying opinions in the medical world because of its similarity to a psychiatric condition known as BDD, body dysmorphic disorder.
In writing about phenomenon where people may have a different perception of their appearance, we are not seeking to diagnose anyone with body dysmorphic disorder.
The Anxiety and Depression Association of America defines BDD as a body image disorder characterized by persistent and intrusive preoccupations with an imagined or slight defect in one's appearance. For someone with BDD, the flaw is so significant it causes severe emotional distress. Robin Stern and Scott Granite both have the condition.
I get that people have a hard time seeing their appearance. I get that they might not like how they look. I couldn't even leave my house. I couldn't go back to college. I missed an entire semester of school. I didn't even feel like I was worth it to be in this world. I couldn't imagine someone loving me. I hated how I felt about myself.
Only people with BDD think about killing themselves as a result of that. And that's where I was. I mean, fortunately, I never made a suicide attempt.
After going through recovery, they both work as licensed therapists and spend more time online with their clients than ever before. They say Zoom can be a trigger, but in their eyes, the term Zoom dysmorphia can be misleading and minimizes what they and their patients go through.
I think that, unfortunately, this whole dysmorphia thing and Zoom dysmorphia really has actually nothing to do with the true diagnosis of body dysmorphic disorder.
Well, through the lens, some people are seeing learning in a totally different way. In the world of social media, going viral may not always be a good thing, but one Arkansas teacher is being seen across the world, and it's for all the right reasons. Hunter Hoagland introduces us to the TikTok teacher sensation. I'm that English teacher. Check it out.
Teachers say they've been finding new ways to reach their students during the coronavirus. But after having some challenges reaching her middle schoolers, this Hot Spring County teacher decided to go from YouTube to a newer app.
Out for this lesson because it's very important.
Meet Miss James.
But when I looked, the YouTube videos didn't have any hits. So when the students returned, I was like, did y'all watch my lessons? And they were like, no.
The 7th grade Malvern Middle School teacher is quickly catching up with her class.
It's like, we don't do YouTube, Miss James. I said, what do you do? And they were like, we do TikTok.
Just an app at first, making Claudine James feel old school.
When the students showed me, I was like, no, because, the dancing.
As the phrase goes, if you can't beat 'em, join 'em.
Let's have some more fun with
Miss James is now known on TikTok as I'm That English Teacher, a username living up to her determination.
I'm that teacher that does whatever it takes to make that student be successful. It's 100,000 yards!
Since December, her classroom has expanded by 150,000 followers.
I've had people from all over, Japan, Vietnam, Argentina, Canada, lots of followers from Canada. The word set means to take.
The 60-second lessons, all simple grammar rules that some could have forgotten since physically being in a classroom.
We will. I have a sign on the outside of my door. It says, I touch the future, I teach.
A classroom with no walls.
I feel like that this TikTok world I'm in is just another extension of me. I touch the future, I teach.
Just simply the world.
It seems unreal. I mean, it is unreal.
Miss James says she's had people all across the world reach out directly for help. She's taking this whole TikTok thing one step further and will begin tutoring people across the world via Zoom.
We got to bring in one of my favorites, Hunter Hoagland, joining us now from Little Rock, Arkansas. And Hunter, I can't get over the celebration of 100,000. She was freaking out.
100,000, and I mean, when we did the story, she was at 150. That was a couple days ago. She's already at, I'm looking right now, 167. So she's on the uphill. Miss James is absolutely going viral, and like you said earlier, for all the right reasons.
Yeah, Claudine, and just talk a little bit about the reason behind it. You know, she felt like she needed to hop on the social media bandwagon, and this is a very new one that a lot of people are iffy about.
It is, and you know, teaching virtually has been hard during the pandemic. And when she got back one weekend, she asked them, she said, why do my videos have 0 views? And she said, Miss James, YouTube is for old people. We're on TikTok. She gets on there, and like you saw, it's a bunch of people dancing. And she goes, to be honest with you, I was horrified. She goes, I can't imagine myself on this app. But she said, in order to be a good teacher, you have to meet them where they're at. And I mean, that's what she's doing. And her audience now reaching worldwide. And there's simple grammar things that we can all learn from, things like effect versus effect. She said she's gotten an overwhelming response from people, even in law school, helping them with their senior paper. So pretty incredible.
Yeah, super awesome, and definitely a different way to reach people. And then, you know, just reiterate this one more time. She's going further than just TikTok. She said she's going to be doing something new as well.
Yeah, so I think in the package we just heard, she's met people from Brazil, Argentina, Vietnam, Canada. But she said that her lessons have really connected with some people, and they've reached out directly to set up Zoom tutoring. She says that's just something she's going to do after school during her free time. She loves teaching, and if she can help people across the world, she says by all means, she's going to do it.
That English teacher, I'm going to call her that boss. Thanks so much,
That
Hunter
boss.
Hoagland out of Little Rock, Arkansas. Great story there, Hunter. Well, if you visit a beach, there's a chance that you may pick up some waste that you saw that washed along the beach. I know my grandmother does it all the time. But do you ever stop to think what's lying underneath the water? Fortunately, a Hawaiian nonprofit is trying to clean up the coastlines, and they made a discovery this month that a GoPro wanted to actually make a commercial out of. Sam Spangler explains.
Back in 2014, a group of young Oahu boys spent their Thursday jumping into the ocean off of Spitting Caves.
I know, I got psyched out.
Fast forward nearly 7 years, and Ocean Defenders Alliance has been cleaning up trash in the form of fishing lines to hooks to even tractor tires in Hawaii since 2017, with the goal of cleaning our oceans to help sea life. They do some of their work at Spitting Caves on Oahu's South Shore.
We go out and do monthly cleanup dives on the reefs around the island.
On a dive on January 10th, one of their volunteers made an interesting discovery.
And this was one of the more unusual things that we found, which was this GoPro still sealed in the case.
Volunteer Rose Zhang went through the memory card and found the files still worked, with the last video from July of 2014. They posted this video, which eventually made its way to now 26-year-old Oahu resident Nainoa Kamai, who was 18 at the time he made the jump.
I just started getting a bunch of messages of this video of me from 7 years ago, and I was like, what is this? I clicked on it, I was like, no way somebody found the GoPro.
They set up a meeting at Nainoa's place of work on the 19th, and he got it back. Nainoa says the battery has swollen up a bit, but is thinking of getting a new battery to see if the GoPro still works.
I'm surprised that it lasted this long. Like GoPros, they're doing something right with like their memory cards.
Nainola's mom bought the GoPro a few days prior to him losing it on the jump.
She wasn't happy. Yeah, she was just like, "What are you doing? Like, I can't believe it. We just bought it." And I mean, I was like, I don't know what to say. Like, I can't do it. I'm sorry.
Nainola has since gotten another one and learned more about what the Ocean Defenders Alliance does to help our oceans. He's also looking to get involved.
They said if I ever want to learn more, just like stop by, like give them a call or something, which I definitely think I will be doing.
He says that was his first time at Spitting Caves and hasn't gone cliff diving since.
Talk about a beautiful place, and I can't believe that GoPro survived. That's awesome, but you know what's not going to survive? Obviously, this is a Hillary hot take, but starting today, Kraft Mac Cheese is launching a limited edition candy flavor for Valentine's Day. Ew. Kraft Mac Cheese has made the same mac and cheese you're used to, but included a candy flavor packet to not only turn it pink, but also add a hint of sweet candy flavor. That just grosses me out. I'm sorry to gross you out. What a wacky way to end this Wednesday edition of Newsfeed Now. If you decide to go buy it, tweet it at me, let me know. Give me your best Gordon Ramsay review of the candy mac and cheese. I hope you have a wonderful Wednesday. Don't forget, we're halfway through the work week. You can do it. We can make it to Friday. Be sure to join us tomorrow. Same place, same time for all your top trending stories. Bye.
I'm a sucker for you.